What if I told you that the Ageless AF eating rhythm method could be just as effective as having weight loss surgery? Well, it could be, and I'm going to show you. So make sure that you stay all the way till the end. Hi, my name is Daphne, and I'm the face behind Ageless After 50, where we ditch diet culture, reclaim our rhythm, and we thrive unapologetically. So picture it, me in my 20s, and I am teetering the scales at over 400 pounds. I go on this whirlwind journey of having gastric bypass in my 20s, and all was fantastic for a little while. But then here comes that monster that is yo-yo dieting, where after I lost the weight, I lost 200 pounds the first year, and I lost 30 pounds the second year. But how did I lose it? Well, of course, my stomach was reduced due to surgery and not being able to eat a lot. But after a while, my stomach grew back to its normal size, where I was capable of eating a normal sized meal. So with that came consequences. If I ate a heavy meal that consisted of a lot of fats or too much sugar, I would experience what's called dumping, meaning that I would get sick very quickly and my weight would escalate pretty high. So for the most part, I had to keep a very high protein, a very lean, vegetable focused, vegetable heavy regimen. I did that for years, didn't have a problem with it. I exercised profusely. I had a gym in my house for years, very cardio focused. And for the most part, for the first 3 to 4 years, I was able to keep my weight down. My basement bottom weight after having gastric bypass in my 20s, I had my gastric bypass on September 12th, 2000, and my lowest was 162. And that was my basement bottom weight. And I was able to hold on to that weight for about maybe a year. And then I pretty much stayed out at 185 and then pretty much topped out at 200. So 200 was pretty much my sweet spot. Now, I'm 5'3". So even at 200, I was pretty thick. I wasn't what you would call obese at 200 because of the way I filled it out, but I definitely wasn't skinny. But I was no longer morbidly obese like I was prior to surgery. With that said, struggled. I struggled for years with weight, with diets, and with my weight fluctuating. And then when Crohn's entered the chat, you can imagine the struggle really got real because of the presence of prednisone, of additional medication, and then with anxiety and depression, those medications had a whole world of their own known side effects. So I was in a lose-lose situation. So my 30s crept on by and again, 200, 210, 240. I could wear it well, but it became physically uncomfortable. And then I would go on these protein shakes. I would go on these liquid fasts, drop 20, 30 pounds. At the time I was on, I don't know if you can still call it the H shots, let's call them that. Those would work, of course, but as soon as you stop them, you would gain all your weight back plus interest. And you know how I feel about gaining weight plus interest. That's not my ideal formula unless we're talking about investing and compounding interest with money. Doesn't sound like the ideal scenario where we're talking about weight. I don't like my weight to come back with friends. So by the time I hit my late 40s, my yo-yo dieting was just out of control. The lowest I could get down to was 185, 162. And that was only because I was drinking a pure spirit diet, if you know what I mean. I would never turn down a good happy hour, a good cocktail. So that was me, nourishing my body with good cocktail. And then I just got sick of it. I was so frustrated. By this time, it was 20 years later, and I realized having the gastric bypass was in vain because I was still struggling to maintain all that hard work I put in. And it felt kind of like a betrayal. It was like I put in the work. I did everything I was supposed to. I put in the exercise. I did the diets. I did my time. I did the growth. And my body was betraying me at every step of the way. So now what? I felt so hopeless. And then, you know what? I'm not going to enter my 50s with the same trauma as my 40s, my 30s, and my 20s. I'm not going to it. And that's when I came up with the Ageless AF Eating Rhythm method. I was determined to do something on my terms, my rules. I did not want to be a slave to any diet for the remainder of my life. I did not want to have to cut out whole groups of a food for the remainder of my life. No, you can no longer eat carbs. No, you can no longer eat sugar. No, you can no longer eat meat. No, you can no longer eat fat. No, you can no longer eat, just fill in the blank. If that's your lifestyle by your choice, no judgment. But for me, I like all food under the sun. And so I wanted to customize an eating regimen where I could have everything that I want and not feel guilty when I ate it. So at the time, I had been learning from the greats about intermittent fasting. Dr. Eric, Dr. Jason, Dr. Mindy, all of them fantastic leaders, pioneers in their industry, reading their books, following their literature, the science, that information out there about intermittent fasting. This is years ago. So I started following it. Unfortunately, in the beginning, I was doing it incorrectly, very incorrect, to my detriment. And it was a school of hard knocks. And then I started really getting into the literature and really learning it and really understanding what it was for. Gee, that's when your cells are eating up the bad cells. It's almost like a self-cleaning oven. Think of Pac-Man, just eating up all the old cells in your body. It's kind of amazing. And it happens the longer you intermittent fast. Kind of happens around I believe the 15th, 16th hour. The longer you fast is when autophagy kicks in. It's a beautiful gift in intermittent fasting. I got fascinated by that, especially as someone who has an autoimmune disorder. And I started learning the science behind it. That's why I got into alternate day fast and I got into the 20-hour, 4-hour window. That's why I fast for 20 hours and then I have a 4-hour window. Those two styles turned out to be gift to me because that's when the weight really started to muff. And I combined that with strength training. The mindless cardio ended up being a thing of the past. And before I knew it, the 180 became 162, became 135. In my 50, in less than, this took less than 6 months. And whole day, this was in my 50s. I started this right before I turned 50. And now I'm deeply entrenched in my 50s and able to hold, I didn't change anything about my diet. I literally eat anything, anything. I just make some tweaks. I break my fast with protein always. I don't intermittent fast every day. So I don't do the Ageless AF eating rhythm every day. I did customize it for women who have special needs like myself. I mentioned I deal with Crohn's. That's an autoimmune disorder. It's inflammation at the intestines, large or small. I suffer from menopause, so I have hot flashes, I have anxiety, I have depression. I'm very transparent. I'm over the age of 50, so I have special needs. That's why I talk to other women who have special needs and they're over the age of 52, because sometimes a lot of these diets don't think of what we need. One size doesn't fit all. And this isn't a diet. It's a way of life so you can customize it to fit your lifestyle. It's your life, your rules. I eat what I want. I just rearrange it and I have delayed gratification, not instant. And my body now knows the difference between a hunger cue, a food cue, and a satiety cue, which we've discussed in earlier videos and we'll definitely discuss in future videos. But has the Ageless AF eating rhythm method been more effective than weight loss surgery for me? Oh, absolutely. Because now I'm not at the mercy of food. I'm in control of how my body feels, and I'm in control of the nutrient-dense foods that I put into it. And I'm no longer at the mercy of cravings. I'm finally in control. If you like what you've heard so far, make sure to smash that like button so YouTube knows that we are so out here in these ageless AF streets. We drop fresh content on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so be sure to subscribe so you'll receive a notification of when we drop new content. And look out for our free guide. It's our Ageless AF Starter Kit. It's yours free. It's my gift to you. And I'll have it in the description and in the pinned comment below. I appreciate you joining me today. See you next time. And until then, be kind to yourself.